Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League, brought to you in partnership with gridfinder.com and Grid Rival. Tonight this is the PlayStation F1 League from the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is JPH and joining me alongside in the commentary box once again is Sab. Good evening Sab, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to be here once again with you guys here for the F1 League. It's been a lot of fun, I'd say, covering Webbo at the moment, and tonight, after a fantastic British Grand Prix, I'm really looking forward to see how these guys do around Singapore. It's been a while, and as we were just talking off there, I think it's going to be a long race, and it's going to be a race that's going to require maximum concentration.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, you mentioned the British Grand Prix, where Stefan and Ghost went toe-to-toe once again. Ghost once again beating Stefan and getting his, I believe, fourth win of the season out of 5. So he's really in the driving seats at the moment. But Singapore, long race, the longest race time-wise on the calendar, and an amazing stat really is that the race lap record is still held by Kevin Magnussen in a Haas from 2018 with a 1:41.905.
I did not know that. That is an incredible stat, like you say, and what can you say about this race? Watching it live, you normally on the TV, you'll see safety cars, people driving into the barriers and stuff like that. And I think, for me personally, when I've raced here in IRL with this, it's if you can maybe survive the first opening laps when it can be a bit chaotic and like I say, keep your concentration as high as possible. Even if you might be half a second slower than some of the guys around you, if you can keep that car clean and out of the walls, then I still think you've got a good chance of scoring really good points. So these guys, I don't know if they might be scrubbing off a bit of time to make sure they don't hit those walls, but it'd be interesting to see. And this track, I've raced here, like I say, a few times for IRL, and I've had this track wet quite a bit. So be interested tonight to see if we get any of those conditions as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So I believe you probably have a better position than me to do this with the app and all that, probably loaded on your phone. Do you want to take us through the top 10 of the drivers and the top 5 of the constructors standings?
Yeah, go for, Ghost, after the British Grand Prix last night, is now 23 points at the top of the table, 73 points. He's ahead of Livingwall. Livingwall had a bad week. He did recover to score some good points, but he had a bad week for himself. He looked like he was going to potentially fight. Livingwall's in second place with 50 points. So you've got Stefan down in third place, 37 points. He did miss a round, didn't he, Stefan? So that's probably why he's a little bit off of Ghost. So you've got Delanga, the Alfa Romeo guys, in second and fourth. Delanga in fourth, 36 points, with ARL in fifth, 24 points. Burmeister, 21 points. Luke Bailey, 15 points. Max, 14 points. Speed Queen, who I always expect so much from Speed Queen. She's such a fast driver. She's in ninth with just 13 points, so maybe we see something special from her tonight. And Ivan Belov rounding out the top 10 with 13 points. And just to quickly look, if you bear with me, at the constructors, if I can find it. Hang on one moment. Where are we looking? Can't find the constructors now. I apologise. Bear with me. There we go. Found it now. Yes, I found it now. So we've got the top 5. So the Alfa Romeo guys, like I just said, they were second and fourth in the constructors and the drivers. Sorry, I mean the constructors. That's the reason why they're 86 points, but they're only 4 points ahead of the Alpine team that features Ghost and Reshka. With they were on 82 points, so just 4 points gap there. So Alfa Romeo are going to have to keep an eye on that, because with the form of Ghost at the moment, it's really dragging them along, with Haas in third with 58, Ferrari fourth to 27, and AlphaTauri in fifth with 26. So by the looks of it, it's like a 3-horse race for the constructors, but I think Haas probably need to have a strong night tonight to propel themselves into that top 2, because they're just starting to fall out of favour a little bit from the top 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we load into qualifying, It'll be an interesting one because we've got a few teammate battle stats. We'll go through some qualifying ones. So Alfa Romeo, it's currently 3-2 to Livingwall. So the qualifying battle between the Alfa Romeo is quite equal, unlike their racing battle where it's 4-1 to Livingwall at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. Those guys always seem to qualify pretty close to each other, a couple of tenths here and there. And Delanger's not quite had it go his way in the race. Last week was his strongest race, I'd say, of the season. I was just briefly talking to him before we went on air, and he says he's struggling round this track. So who knows how he'll do tonight. He's probably throwing me a big bluff, and we'll see him on pole position the way he probably has gone about. But as you can see there, look, it looks dry, but can the Alfa Romeo guys do what they have been doing, qualify strong and get within that top 5 again?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, in terms of other teammate battles, as predictable as ever, ARL, the first man to leave his garage. In the Alpine camp, Ghost is comfortably beating Reshka 3-1 in qualifying, 4-0 in the race. Down at Alpha Tauri, ARL and De Rouge, it's currently 2-all in the qualifying, 3-1 to ARL in the race. Haas, Stefan, 3-0 in both race and qualifying against Burmeister. Ferrari quite equal, Sab, 2 apiece in both race and quali.
Yeah, that's one to keep an eye on, isn't it?
And
those guys,
neither of them here tonight.
That's a good point. So that won't be changing, will it? Which is a shame, really, because I think we like to have as many guys in here as possible. And I don't know if the livery, the newer special livery, is still in the game, but that special livery really looks well on this game. And it's a shame we don't have any Ferrari guys. So yeah, those stats will be staying put for just 1 week. We've got nearly everybody out on track. Everybody on those soft tyres obviously now on this game with qualifying. Plenty of tricky corners to navigate around here. A lot of left and right 90-degree turns as well. Is there anywhere around this track you find particularly difficult?
Mostly all of it. No, I mean the last sector, coming into the last sector is particularly tricky. Obviously, you've also got that Singapore sling in sector 2. If you get that wrong, you're very much in the war. I mean, a lot of Singapore is just about nailing your apexes. If you don't get your apex, you're more likely in the war, and a new front wing required. As ARL trying to get a bit of warmth in those soft tyres, seems like warm up a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, it seems so. And normally it's a pretty hot and sticky race. You watch it in real life, but ARL now going for his laps, sticking as wide right as possible to try and get a nice. I'm
going to go on board. Sorry, with Luke Bailey for a lap.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's quite difficult round here to get a nice clean lap around here, and I always find as well in the past, even though it's a street track, it's really easy to invalidate round here.
Yeah, absolutely. As Luke Bailey coming out of turn 3 and 4 into 5. Around Singapore, 5 kilometres long, 23 corners, 14 to the left, 9 to the right, and we're going to go flat through 6, end of sector 1 into sector 2, hit the brakes as late as you dare into turn 7, and turn 8 a slightly tighter 90-degree right-hander, almost hairpin like. Turn 9 slightly more open, carry a little bit more pace, just don't hit the wall on the outside very easily. Up to turn 10, the Singapore sling where there used to be a chicane. I think there should still be a chicane, but there we go. Into 11 and 12 chicane, over the Anderson Bridge, and into 13, a hairpin left. You want to be as square as you can on the exit to get the throttle on as early as you can. Into the second DRS zone, up towards turn 14 to start sector 3. Clip the apex on the right hand side, use as much curve as you can on the out to open up that steering. Through 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, all pretty much a combination of corners. Just short, sharp, 90-degree bends. Don't take too much curb, you can spin out on these ones. You do want to hook along this one here though, or you used to want to hook on it on 2021. 22, 23. Slight brake downshift just to get the car turning, and then flat out towards the line. Luke Bailey at 138.611, but Burmeister setting the early pace.
He is, and I always particularly find that little tunnel section you go under the grandstand. I always find that part really tricky. You can easily be greedy on the brakes there and find yourself buried into the wall on the far side, and suddenly you could collect a few other people. And look at that, there is a statement lap from Ghost. You've got Burmeister on a 38.5, but Ghost straight into 37 zeros. So these guys are pumping in some mega laps there, and Livingwall with a 37.4. Reska, Ghost's teammate, also into third. So Ghost really setting a statement early on here. Can anyone get anywhere near that? He's 7/10 faster than Livingwall on his first run. That's incredible.
Yeah, Michael Lutker had a moment coming out of the final corner. Looks like he had a bit of a spin. Smoke goes into 9th place. 1 minute 40.9. Smoke, Michael Lutker, Tinas, all reserves from the F2 category. Speed Queen, the next one on a lap. Purple through sector 2. So Speed Queen basically starting her championship now almost, because she's had a bit of a quieter start. She's obviously missed a round or two, which hasn't helped her cause, but it's been a little bit quiet as Reshka's out.
Yeah, I was just flicking through the order then, and I don't know where he's had a moment.
Singapore Sling.
Stefan's had a moment as well, just before that tunnel section I was talking about. He's got no front wing. Stefan, no, sorry, it's ARL, apologies. ARL has got no front wing. So yeah, ARL. Luckily for him, it's not took him out of this qualifying, but he's had a moment on his in-lap, which is surprising there.
And all the while, Speed Queen makes a bigger statement than Ghost with 136.815. Wow. She has arrived this season, you could almost say.
Yeah, well, as you say, this is season starts now, and that is a real statement there. And can we potentially see another challenger to Ghost this evening? We've seen Stefan have a go a few times. Can Speed Queen really take it to Ghost this evening? She's started off superbly here, and I think even Ghost would have probably double looked at it and thought 7/10 ahead of Livingwall. I'm pretty comfortable, and seeing Speed Queen go fastest, that is really good going there. But first runs, interesting there. Can we potentially see low 36? Am I being too ambitious with that?
I don't think it's. I don't think it's a case of whether it's possible or not, because I think it is possible. It's just whether they can hook up the lap, because it's, even though it's only 5 kilometers long, it's not the longest circuit on the calendar by any stretch. Because obviously you've got Spa-Francorchamps, but it's probably one of the ones in the most corners. So trying to hook up a lap perfectly is such a hard thing in Singapore.
It really is. I can totally agree with that. You can be feeling like it's going perfectly for 3/4 of this race. You go deep into one corner, and that is it. If you don't collect the wall, there is some runoff areas around here, so it's not quite as harsh as, say, like Monaco. But it can really hurt you quite quickly if you think you're nailing the lap. We've got some guys already coming back out for their second. We've got the likes of Burmeister, Ghost, Luke Bailey, ARL, all coming back out. Smoke has spun it. I've just gone on to Smoke, so he says he was on a lap, but Smoke has spun it. So I don't know how he's spun it. It looks like he's got a bit of front wing damage, but he's got going again. Smoke will be able to come into the pits. He's in 11th place.
I would suggest, because that's turn 13, just after the Anderson Bridge. I suspect he's probably just lit up the rears, either coming off the Anderson Bridge or just through coming out of the hairpin, and probably just nipped the wall with the Aston Martin. But yeah, I mean, in reality, it's quite a long time. I mean, you think about it, you're doing 137 at the moment, 138 on your flying lap. You're probably taking 2 minutes on your out lap, and probably a minute 52 minutes on your in lap. So it's quite a lot of time. If you want to get 3 runs in, you've got to be pretty sharp on when you're coming in the pits and when you get out. Yeah,
I agree. That's probably why a lot of these guys were in the pits and straight back out. There were no messing, was there? So these guys now, like the Burmeister, have started their next flying lap. Can these guys improve, get into the 37s maybe? We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. I can't see what
Looks
that is
like
for. It's quickly
probably
got away.
ARL probably just having a bit of a slow moment to warm the tyres up, ready for his next flying lap as Ghost, the first one to start his second set of flying laps in the Alpine. And the question is, can he get the speed to get past Speed Queen?
That is a great question, and I have to say, how good do these cars look under these lights? I think this game really makes these cars look fantastic under the official F1 night race. These cars look absolutely brilliant. Some of the camera angles we're getting, and I'm just going to keep an eye on Livingwall to see if he can get any closer to the 37.0 as what Ghost did earlier on.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Ghost for now. See Luke Bailey next on the road, followed by ARL and I think Burmeister. But not as many people out on their second fly as I thought they would be at this stage of the qualifying. If you're coming out now, this is probably your second and final run. So I think Speed Queen only going to have 2 runs here as Ghost 3/10 up on his time through Sector 2. The question is, can he hold it through the technical section of Sector 3? He's on for a 36.7 here, roughly speaking, so just a 10th quicker than Speed Queen.
That's pretty good going, and Livingwall was also purple first sector. Keeping an eye on him now as he's in the second sector. Now, the next DRS straight, second DRS straight is Ghost. There you go, 36.5. That's a mega lap from Ghost. Meanwhile, Livingwall is vastly improving it. Is 6.5 tenths up on his time, so this is going to put him close to the 37.0s here. Luke Bailey jumps into third place with ARL now into fourth. So Livingwall down to fifth, but unless he makes a mistake here, he should vastly improve coming through his final sector now.
Yeah, Burmeister up to sixth, just getting past the retired Reshka. Livingwall up to the last couple of turns in the Alfa Romeo. What can he do? Oh, it's only a 36.9, so he does lose. He goes a lot quicker than his personal best, but nowhere near as quick as he needs to be for pole position. Delange, he's half a second up on his time, but that's only going to put him in a 38.0.
Yeah, probably what he was saying to me is probably true, and he wasn't bluffing me, but I think it's going to be a case of surviving and making sure he brings home the points for himself and the team tonight. What is he going to do here? It should put him, I was just thinking it might put him just up around the 38.0s, but it doesn't. It puts him in the 38.2, so he needs to get his skates on now. He should be fine to get back in and come back out for another go, but he's got some work to do. He's really got to get himself low 37s, I think, if he's going to try and challenge for that top 5.
Yeah, so he definitely lost a couple of tenths there in the final sector, which shows how difficult it is to get that lap hooked up. Half a second up after 2 sectors and lose a couple of tenths. On board now with Tinas in the Williams, obviously reserved from F2. See all the F2 running guys in the race all scored points in their debut. Tinas 2 rounds ago, and Michael Lupka and Smoke at Britain last time out. Through the final sector for the Williams driver, currently sat in 11th, but it was interesting as well. So Stefan Ranz actually abandoned. Tinas goes round.
Sorry, carry on. That was more dramatic than I thought he was going to go straight to the wall. Then he did well to do a nice run through it.
I was waiting for him to cross the line sideways.
Yeah, and then improve. That would have been something incredible, wouldn't it? He does well not to get that into the barrier there, and he lives to fight for another day.
I was just saying, Smoke also abandons his second flying lap. Stefan abandoned his second flying lap, so maybe Stefan thinking that it wasn't worth trying to trundle back in, and he'll just get ready for another run. But it does put a bit of pressure on Stefan to make sure that this next lap is the lap. Yeah,
you took the word out of my mouth. The word pressure is what I was going to say. I was going to say the pressure is on now. Stefan, he's into the pits, 3.5 minutes to go. He's nowhere near the guy he wants to fight with at a minute. He's what? Ghost is a 36.5, Stefan a 38.8. So he's going to have to find some huge improvement on this last final run if he's going to be anywhere near fighting Ghost tonight. I'm sure he can do it. It's just like you said, the word pressure here, because every single corner is going to have to count. These guys, all of the pits apart from Tinas, who is trying to hurry back round now. Just over 3 minutes left. Are we going to get to see Speed Queen dethrone Ghost at the top, or is Ghost going to improve once more?
That is the question that we will have to wait and find out. But whilst we've got this comment, welcome to everyone who has joined the stream. This is the PlayStation F1 tier at the Invictus Racing League in partnership with gridfind.com and Grid Rival. Just a couple of comments. I see Michael Looker saying it's the hardest track by far, and Lee saying a bit of rain for the race would make it fun. That it certainly would do, and we're now getting drivers coming out for their final race. I think Tinas here will not get a third run here. I think he's coming the pits a bit too late by the time they wheel that car back into position. And I think he's also going to affect his teammate here, because obviously whilst he's getting pushed back into the pits, Michael Looker cannot get out.
No, he's just stuck watching. And just want to say hello to Sam Corby in the chat, former champion here. You'll know him as Gamer. He's won a championship here with IRL before. Good to see him in the chat this evening. Hope all is well with him. So 2 minutes on the clock. Michael Look is still stuck in the pits waiting for his teammate. Is he going to be able to come out? Everybody on the outlap. Livingwall's not come out yet though. Is Livingwall thinking that's the most he can do, or is he really leaving it late?
There's a potential here, because obviously you only get one set of hards, one set of mediums for the race. Is he now trying to save 2 sets of softs for safety car periods around him? Maybe he's thinking there's going to be more safety car periods and potentially more options to use the soft tyres, which could be a big potential, because you will want, if you can make the soft tyres last to the end of the race, say 5 laps from the end, and you can still get decent track position around here, the grip you'll get out of the corners would be immense.
Oh yeah, and I think we might end up seeing safety cars in this race, so strategy will be definitely key. And we don't know what the weather's going to be like either, do we? These guys are going to very shortly be starting their fly out. Ghost is coming up to find a few corners now, so Ghost is on the hunt for pole position.
So here we go, the final set of flying laps. And goes through turns 1, 2, 3, quick succession just like that, and 4 will follow soon after. Up towards 5. He has a bit of a wiggle actually out of 3, which my guy, he's invalidated. Ghost has invalidated his lap. Meanwhile, Speed Queen coming up behind. Ghost wants to get on here, because he doesn't want to give any sort of tow to Speed Queen. That's for certain. He actually pulls over now. Speed Queen slightly quicker in the first sector, not purple though. And the Red Bull looking to find as much time as she can.
Yeah, there's that pressure we spoke about as bit Ghost hard, and he'll be praying now that Speed Queen does not improve and go ahead of him. She's got a great opportunity here. And
she spun it.
Oh no!
Onto the Anderson Bridge. Out of the 11-12 chicane, the Red Bull spins, and that is the end of Speed Queen's charge.
Well, Ghost could breathe a huge sigh of relief there, can't he? But what can the guys do below? Can any of the guys get up to into the 36 maybe? Or is Livingwall going to be a bit lucky here and stay in P3? You've got Luke Bailey not too far away. Is he improving? I don't think he is, Luke Bailey. No, so Livingwall, with that option not to run in this final, might have got away with one here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Stefan. Stefan only 2/10 quicker after passing sector 2, so he is really not looking on this track. Delange goes 6th in the end.
That was a nice lap. I just flicked on board with him, and we spoke about that final sector with him on the last run, and he was much cleaner through there then. So Yeah, decent lap from De Lange there. I think he'll be happy knowing that he's within that top 6 and he has the opportunity to maybe try and get up alongside his teammate.
Burmeister stays 7th. Luke Bailey retires in the pits. We got Smoke coming through. He'll be the last man to set a time. It's 9th place for Smoke. That's a good time at 1:38.5, considering obviously he is in theory F2 pace. So this is a big step up for him. So beating Stefan and Michael Lutka as well, beating Stefan at the same time. That's a good showing from those two.
It really is. Smoke. I don't know if he will be doing this, but he might be doing a little mini battle with his other F2 colleagues, and he's won that little battle. So great job from him there, getting inside the top 10.
So after the qualifying session for the Singapore Grand Prix, it is Ghost who will start in pole position, Speed Queen alongside. That's going to be an interesting battle to watch as the race develops. Row 2 is Livingwall and ARL. Row 3, Luke Bailey and Delange. Row 4, Burmeister and Reshka. Row 5 is Smoke and Michael Lutka. Row 6 is Stefan and Tinus will start at the back of the grid.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little underwhelmed by Stefan's performance here at Singapore. Not quite gone as I expected. I thought he would have been at least top 5, but you don't always have to perform well on the qualifying to get good results in the race. Yourself and Bruce Lee Harding in F3 is a good example of that. But we are going into the pit lane now, look, and doesn't appear to be any rain or anything, so it looks like these guys can breathe a huge sigh of relief and we could just focus on the racing at the start of this race.
Absolutely. And obviously I believe still no formation lap currently still, so once we get going we'll be straight into the race for round number 6 of the season here at Singapore. And Ghost, probably considered quite lucky here, considering the invalidation and the fact Speed Queen spun. Because I think, looking at the pace of everyone, it looks like Speed Queen was the only one that was gonna stop him from taking that pole position.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, wasn't it, for Speed Queen? I think she's showing strong pace. Can she show strong pace in the race now? She's going to want to try and get ahead of Ghost, I think, early on, because you know what Ghost is like. We've seen it last week at Britain. He gets out in front, he's superb at defending. It's going to be completely different round here, obviously, compared to Silverstone. But I think if you want to try and upset his rhythm, don't you? And if you can get out in front of him and make him think about what he's got to do more and have a car in front of him that he's got to look at instead of just clear open track, then this could result in a good race tonight. We shall see. Ghost is been phenomenal in qualifying. He's been phenomenal in the race as well. So, with the pace of Speed Queen, who knows? We could have somebody different with that. I really appreciate how well Ghost is doing, but it would be nice to see someone like Speed Queen really mix it in there this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially this race, I think ERS management is, on this game is obviously a lot harder, a lot more important. So ERS management in this race is going to be a key factor in battles late on in the race. But not only obviously the tyre wear, because with so many traction zones and the heat, the tyre wear is not going to be kind. As you see, 30 seconds to go before we are lights out.
Yeah, not long now, and I agree. You're going to have to manage a lot in this race, and for a long time, as we say, it's a long race. So concentration levels are going to have to be through the roof. Ever so slightly slip out of those concentration levels, you're going to find yourself probably in the wall or facing the wrong way, maybe.
So here we go, 3 seconds to go before lights out. We go to the grid. We have the 5 red lights for the longest Grand Prix of the calendar. We are racing here in Singapore, and who's got the best getaway? Looks like it's a good start from Ghost. On the medium tyres, into turn 1, are we going to see it? Oh, a bit of contact between the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeo. I think that's Delange and Luke Bailey. But generally speaking, a nice clean getaway from the drivers, other than that one little tap.
fantastic start for Delanga. He's up to P4, and just to quickly point out, Speed Queen is started on the hard tyres, Ghosts on the mediums with Delanga, and they will also hard tyres with Burmeister and ARL on medium. So a real mixed bag there. Speed Queen, even on those hard tyres, got away pretty well, to be fair. I wasn't surprised that she didn't jump Ghost being on those hard tyres, but if Speed Queen now can try and hang on to Ghost on those hard tyres, then later on in the race she's going to look really strong. But already, look at that, Ghost has pulled a second out on Speed Queen. We've got Delanga and Livingwald, Burmeister as well. I don't know what's happened to Delanga there, but Delanga dropped from 4th down to 5th, and he's got his teammate pushing him around the track.
Yeah, I think Burmeister obviously on the medium tyre, using the traction and the grip that he has to catch up and pass Delange. I think there's probably quite a big difference in speed between the hards and the mediums, just purely from that traction perspective. But it could pay dividends come the end of this race for the hard runners early on, when that crossover does come and when they have the better grip in the latter part of this race. But generally everyone's starting to settle into this train now, because you don't want to do any silly moves on lap 1 or 2.
No, you don't, and we have a battle already for P2 here, as Ghost has already pulled out a 1.8 second gap to Speed Queen. Speed Queen is going to have to start looking in her mirrors, because ARL is coming in the Alpha Tauri, and ARL making those medium tyres really work for them at the moment. Speed Queen, what do you do in this position? Do you really try and fight and hold on to second place, or do you just think, right, they're on the medium tyre, I'll defend, but not too hard, because you don't want to compromise your race here either, do you, and end up falling further back. Here comes ARL. Is he going to get the move done on Speed Queen? Down the inside, Speed Queen doesn't really fight it. Does ARL keep it on the track? He just about keeps on track, so ARL into second place. Yeah,
smart play that from Speed Queen. It's the right way to go. She does come back at him, though. Oh, through turn 9, can't quite get it, almost gets squeezed into the wall, down to the Singapore Sling. And ARL actually rehands the position, so he concedes that one, and Speed Queen. But the problem is, this battle has cost them the best part of 2 seconds here, because they're now 4 seconds behind. ARL almost looking for a lunge into the hairpin after the Anderson Bridge.
You had to almost hold your breath there, and I wasn't racing. And Burmeister's right on the back of these pair now, and look at the gap Ghost has got already, 4.5 seconds, and this is bringing Delanga and Livingwald into the fight as well. So this is really helping the Alpha Male guys out, because the medium guys are struggling behind Speed Queen here. Arrow did get the move done, as we see, but yeah, Speed Queen, a real blockage at the moment, and this is, I don't want to say it too early on, we're only on lap two, but this is almost handing Ghost the victory here. We have just the pace of Speed Queen right now.
It's interesting because Speed Queen running on board with her, she's not really defending it anywhere. So she's not actually losing any time right now with this battle after the Anderson Bridge moment. So is this really the true pace of medium versus hards? Because if this is, Ghost is going to have to watch his tail come the end of this race.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe this is the thing. His tactic now is to try and build that gap. As there you go, ARL in the same spot as last lap, gets the move done, but it looks a lot tidier. He's not going to run deep this time, or nearly into the wall there. But maybe ARL now has properly got this position taken. How he has, yeah. So. Can Burmeister now look at trying to overtake the Red Bull? But ARL all out of shape again there, and Speed Queen's not really out of this battle for second place. Nobody really seems comfortable in that second place right now.
No, meanwhile, Luke Bailey is coming for a second pit stop, potentially for a second wing change. I think he had to change his wing after the first corner incident, and he's had to potentially change it again, so his race very much requiring a safety car at this stage. But the drivers with the new regulation cars, compared to what we saw even in the 2021 video game, they're following a lot closer, and the gaps are nowhere near as big as they used to be on 2021. Yeah,
that is true. And talking of gaps, Reshka has managed to split the Alfa Romeo guys. He's on the medium tyre as well. He's into 6th place, Reshka. He had that DNF in qualifying, so a bit of a recovery mode, and he's doing well so far. Into 6th place, he's now trying to hunt down De Lange. De Lange's falling off the back of Burmeister, now 1.3 seconds behind.
Yeah, you have to feel that this should, if he gets the traction on De Lange here, it should be able to get him into turn number 7. Meanwhile, I think, will Burmeister have a crack? No, he's still 8 tenths behind. It's interesting how the medium tyres not quite getting the traction out of turn 5 like I thought they would do into that DRS zone. It looks like the hards are quite capable out of those slightly more open corners.
Yeah, you'd have thought they would really reel them in, and I expected not Reschke to overtake, but to be much closer than he was. But he is starting now to get onto the back of the gearbox of De Lange now, 4 tenths of a second. But he is bringing De Lange's teammate along with him. Livingwall is not dropped off this battle. So, yeah, these guys having their own mini battle here, because De Lange is now 2.4 seconds off Burmeister. And talking to Burmeister, look, he's just 3 tenths behind the back of Speed Queen now.
Yeah, and another interesting thing to point out here, ARL, ever since he got past Speed Queen, that gap has stabilised around 5.5 seconds. So I think we are seeing the difference in tyre pace and grip at this stage between the medium and the hards, which would be a valuable indicator to those currently on the hard compound.
Yeah, most definitely. So if you're on the medium tyre and you're seeing the pace of the hards, you're probably trying to think, can we try and stretch this life of this medium tyre out for as long as we can, so we don't be on those hards? Oh, Burmeister has a massive snap there of oversteer. Burmeister held that well there, and that will compromise his opportunity to attack Speed Queen down to turn 7 with DRS. He's not going to be anywhere near. So Burmeister, 9 tenths of a second, that really did hurt him. So he'll stay in P4. Here comes Reschke.
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought he was going to go down the inside then, but didn't quite have enough. But again, that could be potentially that De Lange is using a bit of ERS and Reschke trying to save it here. It is a crucial factor in this year's game of the ERS because it is so powerful when you're trying to overtake or defend. But Reschke happy just to sit behind for the minute, and we've got another DRS zone coming up, and he should have superior traction out of the hairpin after the Anderson Bridge.
Yeah, he'll be keen to get the move done, and he's pretty much on to the back of De Lange now. De Lange defending. He's going to force Reschke to go wide here. De Lange, tries to hold position. Now they're going to be side by side. Oh, this is going to be close. One of them's going to have to yield. Neither of them are. Wow.
Reschke again looking for a switch, but couldn't quite do it, heading through Sector 3. And this is costing Reschke a valuable time on those medium tyres. You do not want to be held up behind a hard runner at this stage on those tyres. That's a waste of the medium. It
is, and if you look, Michael Lucky was nearly 3 seconds behind this battle. He's now 1.2 seconds. This just shows you what this battle is doing. It's bringing others into play. So De Lange's now dropped to 4.2 seconds off of Burmeister. He's tried his hardest here, De Lange, to keep that Alpine behind. And you got to remember as well, Alpine are in a battle with Alfa Romeo as well. So he'll be thinking, need to minimise the points Alpine are going to get because one of them's already in P1. But here comes Reschke now. I don't think De Lange's going to be able to do much about it this time. Reschke round the outside, but De Lange does. And he's still in position, but the undercut there from Reschke around the outside. Can they get the move done? Oh, they've bang wheels. And Reschke just about gets the move done. De Lange made that really hard work for him there.
Yeah, and as you say, Michael, looking now half a second away from Livingwall. Smoke only a second behind that. The question is, will the Alfa Romeo boys do a swap? Because I think it definitely looks like De Lange is struggling more than Livingwall is on the hard compound. So are we likely to see Reschke gets a big lot of wheel spin, and De Lange now looking to do what Reschke couldn't. Goes for the switchback and he gets the traction. That's a great move from the Alfa Romeo, but can he make it stick? Through 15 into 16, yes he can.
Wow.
And Reschke, once again, is staring at the back of an Alfa Romeo.
Wow. Well, that's really unfortunate for Eshka. That small mistake has cost him, and he'll be getting.
I think we just had an accident.
Lucky. Yeah. Did he go down the escape road? I think he went down the escape road just before the tunnel, which if he has...
No, he hasn't. I think he has clipped the wall. He's got front wing damage. End plate off for the Williams. Just saw a massive batch of smoke going into the corner. And unfortunately it was the Williams of Michael Lutka, but he's carrying on, so strange decision, but maybe he's thinking if he pits now he might fall prey to Luke Bailey potentially if he's not too careful.
Smoke, he's now onto the back. It's his turn to have a go, the next F2 guy to have a go at this. He's just dropped out of the DRS, I think. No, he got DRS, apologies. He did get DRS, so he's now trying to have a piece of this battle for P5 as Reshka, once again, is getting increasingly frustrated, stuck behind Delange, and yeah, here comes Reshka. Oh, Reshka's just hit the wall. Did he pick up damage there? I don't believe he did. If he didn't, he's got away with one there. He proper thumped the wall on the right-hand side, and he's lucky not to have picked up damage.
Yeah, I think he'll get away with it because there's more wheel-to-wall contact. But I'm on board Delange. I'm looking behind, and there's just this row of 5 cars you can see behind him. That was a lockup from the Alfa Romeo. They're going into turn 14. But I must also admit, Livingwall through turn 8 had a massive moment. He had to back right out of the corner, almost like he was going to go into the back of Reshka. So that made him drop off a little bit. But this battle, it's not even for a podium. It's just for a top 5 place right now, and we're only 8 laps in. Yeah,
and this is also going to give Ghost a big gap to slot himself into. Oh, we got a yellow flag in sector 3. Who's gone round? It's Michael Lutka again. Same spot. He's not enjoying that corner.
Yeah, probably hit the brakes at the same point, and I do wonder with this game whether it does simulate the flat spots you get because Michael Lutka's lock up earlier, I think it was a double front lock up, so it wasn't even like it was an unloaded tyre. So if the game does simulate it, which I think it might do on this year's game, he may have just hit the flat spots again and gone straight on. But once again, Reshka having a look in the DRS zone into turn 7, can't get past the number 75 Alfa Romeo.
It's a superb battle in this. This really is, and Liverpool trying his hardest. Michael Lutka has pitted, by the way, and he's pitted for a set of soft tyres, which is an interesting choice. I just wanted to point out as well, it's been a good drive so far, I think, from Speed Queen. She's actually started to gain back on ARL now, and she's bridged the gap to Burmeister. It was 0.3 of a second at one point. It's now 1.4 seconds, and she's under 2 seconds to ARL. So all those hard tyres started to come into the right window for her now.
It'll be about the right time. Lap 8, nearly a third of the way through this race. But we are also going to stick with this battle for 5th, because let's face it, you can't really keep your eyes away from it. Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin in the background, followed by a Haas, and then Tina's 2.4 away, but in prime position if someone hits a wall.
Yeah, and maybe just having that that bit of a gap might save
Livingwall out.
Oh no.
He's come out, and that's a full safety car.
Wow. I didn't see what happened, sorry. I was on board with Tinas, as you called it.
He's come out of turn 21, lit the rears up, and it's just sent the car into the inside wall on the exit. So that is one Alfa Romeo out of this race. Advantage Alpine. And this is going to be helpful for the medium runners, because now they can probably chuck on the hard compound tyres with a free pit stop. I don't know if they'll make it to the end or not. It's still quite a long way. It depends how many laps of safety car we get here, but yeah, definite advantage here for the medium runners. If you're on hard, you've got to carry on.
Yeah, that'll be frustrating for Ghost though, won't it? He built up an 11-second gap to ARL, and that'll be wiped out surely. Ghost has had a superb race so far. We've not seen much of him because of how far ahead he's been. Be interested to see, he's in the 2nd sector now, coming up to 3rd sector. Does he jump into the pit for a set of hards? With Michael looking back in, he's had enough of those soft tyres already. He knows that they weren't going to go to the end. Anyway, will Michael Lutke put on a set of hard tyres? I'm just going to keep an eye on Michael Lutke. Yes, he is putting a set of hards on. So will the likes of Ghost and ARL put on a set of hards here? Ghost is now coming round. He's into the pit lane. Ghost is coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, so that's definitely going to be for some hard tyres. Let's have a look and see what ARL does. I have got the tyres on the tower, so we will see them change. ARL is in the pits. Speed Queen is in the pits as well.
Wow.
Okay, this makes it interesting. Burmeister into the pits. What will Delange do? So far, Delange has a quick look at the pit lane, thinks, no, I'm not going to go in there. Reshka into the pit lane. Smoke stays out. Stefan stays out. Teenus comes into the pit lane for hard tyres, and I suspect Luke Bailey might do, being that he's on the mediums right now, and that's his old mediums that he started the race on. Obviously, he's done a lap on the hards already, and had to come in for a second pit stop. So it would not surprise me if he comes in the pits as well, but he might have to think about trying to catch up to that safety car train, because he is a long, long way behind.
It's not me to question Speed Queen's strategies, because she's obviously a much better driver than I am, and she knows what her plan is. But I find that surprising that she's gone in for a set of medium tyres. I can't imagine they will go 21 laps to the end of this race. And if they can, then certainly the hard tyres certainly can go that far, which I find that surprising, to be honest. Ghost, because of its such an advantage, retakes first place, so Ghost is now leading this pack around behind the safety car, with Delanga in second place, Smoke up to third place, and Stefan in third place, because these guys have not picked it on those hard tyres. So yeah, interesting call from Speed Queen there. That's put on the medium tyres. She's going to have to make moves to make this work, I think. I don't know. I honestly don't know how she's going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to film potentially she's looking for a safety car around maybe lap 20 here, to then go back onto her hard tyres, because they will be of a similar age to those around her, and at that point you can't really go softs because it's too early, but you can't really go back onto your old mediums because they're going to be destroyed by that point. So yeah, it's an interesting one, but maybe Speed Queen thinking there's going to be another safety car in maybe 8 to 10 laps time here.
I wouldn't rule it out.
But I think the biggest loser out of all that pit stop exchange is probably ARL. I mean, I know he was miles behind Ghost, but he's now got 3 cars between Ghost and himself, which is going to be very hard. If you've seen Delange is very, very good at defending round here, so I can see Ghost getting a bit of a gap here. Yeah,
like you say, that is frustrating. These guys, Delanga, Smoke and Stefan, they don't need to move out of the way, do they? They are fighting for position. So as you say, ARL, he'll be seeing Ghost just run off into the distance, and he's got 3 cars to try and get past, and with Delanga's defending so far, it's going to be very tricky. And Delanga now is on a real massive attack for points now. He's a teammate down, unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo teams, with Rescue in P8 and Ghost P1. Alpine will be scoring big points now, so Delanga will be trying his hardest to score as maximum points that he can. Take these hard tyres for as long as he can, stick on a set of mediums and try and attack at the end. But surely now all these cars are, apart from Luke Bailey and Michael Lutke at the back, all these cars are onto the back of the safety car. So hopefully, by the time these guys catch up, we might be getting underway at the end of this lap. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, just a quick update from the Alpha Tauri team, because ARL apparently reporting that he's losing brake pressure. I'm not sure if that's not really the ideal thing in your pedals.
Not around here.
No. But the big question here is, will Luke Bailey actually make it to the back of this pack? Because, I mean, he's almost a full sector behind. And the safety car, if it does go for another lap, it will only be 1 more lap, because the game only tends to go for a maximum of 3 safety car laps. So it could be quite a close one, this, for Luke Bailey.
Yeah. Luke Bailey will be hoping that he does go for another lap, I'm sure, and Ghost will be wanting to just get underway now. So these guys will be hoping for two completely different things. We'll find out very shortly. Ghost trying his hardest to get those awkward hard tyres to warm up and make sure he is ready for the safety car coming. I think we're going to get another lap here.
We're going to get another lap, I think.
Yeah, I think Luke Bailey's too far behind.
I mean, Luke Bailey here could play this very, very smart, because at this point in time, because he's having to go a little bit faster than everyone to try and catch up, his tyres, if he plays this a bit smart, he could have really warm tyres come the restart, and he could have a massive heat advantage here.
That
and
is a good
Burmeister
point.
in the pits.
Oh, that's a surprise. Has
Let's
he
have
picked
a
up
look.
damage?
I'm just riding on board with him as Luke Bailey now catches up to the back of the pack, and it's a set of soft tyres for the Haas driver.
And he's got front
and a new front wing,
yeah. So I'm wondering whether he's clicked the wall or something.
I am surprised though that he's gone with the soft tyre. Why not? I mean, you could go back to your mediums, but I guess they are a bit ruined. It's a shame really that you don't have the option to not change your tyres on F1, I must admit.
Yeah, that is true, but I can't imagine Burmeister is going to get far with these soft tyres, and now he's at the very back. That's pretty much ruined his race now, unless we get that second safety car. So that then promotes, who's that promote up? The likes of Reshka and
Tinas, Burma,
So,
Tinas, Michael, Luke. But the interesting thing though is, where has he picked up that damage? Because he made the pit stop onto hard tyres, and I'd assume that he'd have done, if he had that damage prior to that, he'd have done it in that pit stop. So has he picked that up under the safety car?
Maybe he's trying an aggressive form of warming those hard tyres up, and he's lit the rears up and clipped the wall coming out of one of the corners. That's the only thing I can think of. That he's potentially doing. Safety car in his lap though, which is great news. So we can get back underway. Ghost will be determining when to go. What would you do here with Ghost? Would you leave it to the last moment, or maybe go a couple of laps earlier? He knows DeLanger's on those 11 lap old hard tyres behind. I don't think DeLanger is going to threaten too much here. Ghost just needs to build that gap up again.
Yeah, it would be interesting when he goes. I mean, round here, you're either looking at start of just before the final couple of corners, between the last two corners, or pretty much on the line, whichever one you think is going to surprise the guy behind you, because either way, you want to catch the drivers behind napping to build that initial gap. I mean, Ghost still trying to get some temperature in those tyres. That's the other factor here as well, is trying to get the temperature in the tyres here. And whilst it didn't look like a lot, all this weaving does actually wear the tyres out. As here goes Ghost, he drops the pin, and that's a good restart from the Alpine. Stefan right on the back of Smoke, and I think we got some action behind with Burmeister, Luke Bailey and Michael Looker. Luke Bailey looking down the inside of Michael Looker now. Burmeister making up 2 places on the restart.
Oh, wow. Has Ghost... What has happened to Ghost here? DeLanger and Smoke have both overtaken Ghost here. And what has happened to Smoke? Ghost even. Ghost down to P5. Has Ghost got damage?
I do want... That is a slow looking Alpine. It's... but just up ahead, Stefan and ARL almost into the wall.
Oof.
Speed Queen now gets past. And Ghost seems to have picked it back up again as he passes ARL. Burmeister on the soft tyres, already up to 6th. He's now on the back of Ghost. I wonder if Ghost had a bit of wheel spin out of turn 3 and potentially just overheated the tyres, which means he couldn't really use them coming out of the corners. Does he?
Yeah.
Has he got both end plates though?
I think he has. Yes, he has.
Yeah, so no real front wing damage there then. I mean, the only other explanation is that he's damaged the underfloor, but the car looks a bit too stable for that.
Unless he's had a problem with his wheel or something, and he just had a glitch or something. I don't know. It was like he wasn't racing all of a sudden. He just fell. I thought he'd actually had an accident at first, so I went on board with him. But no, that is a shock. And Speed Queen's now ahead of him on those medium tyres. Speed Queen on medium tyres should, in theory, be able to keep Ghost behind. So DeLange now, he is now leading this race with the F2 reserve driver for tonight, Smoke, in second place. Smoke will not believe he's in second place right now.
Tina's unfortunately in the pit lane, probably for a new front wing, as we watch Speed Queen, who is on the back of Stefan Ranz. It is hard tyre versus medium tyre, and it's old hard tyre as well, or at least I should say at least a semi-used one, as we go down towards turn 9 and towards the sling. And you have to feel here for Speed Queen, she's going to want to get this overtake done sooner rather than later, because even though Ghost is on those hards, she wants to be able to pull away from him, because those hards will be quicker come the end of this race.
Yeah, she'll want to do what Ghost was doing at the beginning, won't she? And here's a great opportunity. She's pretty much on the back of Stefan now. Pulls to the left. Stefan's not going to give this up, and why should he?
Burmeister looking all over the back of Ghost in the background as well.
Yeah, Speed Queen not able to get the move done, so Speed Queen is almost pushing that Haas now, and she's starting to lose time to the Smoke and DeLange ahead, so this is getting very frustrating for Speed Queen here.
Yeah, this line of 4 cars, Stefan doing a DeLange here, and really holding people up that are on fresher rubber, and he's perfectly entitled to as well.
Yeah. I think Speed Queen's just got to keep her composure. Is she going to try and move down to turn 1? That would have been brave. She doesn't. Ghost is still right there as well. He's ready to pounce if any of these two make a mistake. Surely Speed Queen now with DRS should get this move done. Stefan, he will have DRS to defend, so it's not going to be easy for Speed Queen here, but with those medium tyres, can she get the move done? I don't think she's gonna.
DRS open. Burmeister also looking at the back of Ghost, can't do it either. This has become a small DRS train of 6 cars. But once again, it's interesting the fact that DeLange, no DRS, Smoke can't make any inroads into that gap, and DeLange almost second out. That's Tina's just retiring from in the pit lane. He's had enough of Singapore for one night.
Yeah, that's a shame for Tina's, and I thought for a second he'd retired in the last sector. I just saw a yellow flag flash up. Thankfully, it's not for a crash on track. So here comes Speed Queen now on Stefan down the inside. She should have this move done now. Late as you can onto the brakes, and there you have it. Speed Queen up into P3.
Burmeister in the background looking all over the back of the Alpina. Ghost was looking for a switchback out of 14, couldn't quite make it work, and you have to feel those softs now starting to take a bit of punishment in the dirty air of the 4 cars ahead of Burmeister right now. And we are in a position as someone in the pits. It's Stefan.
Oh.
I mean, he has to make a pit stop as part of the rules, so this will be his mandatory stop. But unfortunately, that's going to drop him to the back and miles behind anyone.
Yeah, and I think that's probably DeLange's probably thinking, I'll try and make a bigger gap as possible, and then drop onto a set of mediums, or even maybe hoping for another safety car here. As here comes Speed Queen on Smoke. This looks a much easier move than what she just did on Stefan, and there you go, Speed Queen into second place. I don't think once she gets onto the back of DeLange, DeLange's not going to be able to keep her behind, especially on those medium tyres.
Absolutely, as they come through turn 9 down towards 10 at the Singapore Sling. Maybe this is potentially the reason why Speed Queen went in when she did. I mean, it is very hard to overtake round here. It's quite clear and evident to see that. So I wonder if she was thinking, actually, I'd rather at least stay in the pack than... oh, that's deep for Smoke, and he loses 2 places for it into turn 13. So an easy pass for Ghost and Burmeister there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gift. I think he'll be quite frustrated there, Smoke. He just wants to get his composure back, though. He's still well inside the points here and still got an opportunity to fight towards it. Oh, as Burmeister's all over the curb there, kind of rode the curb and almost hit the wall. Smoke right onto the back of him, so Burmeister had a moment there, and as you can see, he's dropped to a second off of Ghost. So, yeah, big wobbly there for Burmeister. Lucky he didn't put it in the wall. So here comes Speed Queen now. I can't imagine she's going to go for it into turn 1, but she's pretty damn close to it. She is going to go for it into turn 1. I didn't expect that, and there you go. Speed Queen takes the lead of this race.
Yeah, and Delange with that Finding Delange helmet, with Ghost all over the back of him now. Those hards now starting to suffer at 16 laps. I mean, it does show you really the tie life here, and potentially this going towards a two-stop race here, as Ghost sends it down the inside. But Delange not letting this one go easy. He sticks to the inside, close to the wall, but Ghost has got the grip as he opens the wheel earlier. And here comes Burmeister. Will he keep it stuck there for the sling? I think he will. And I think Delange is going to have no choice but to cede position.
Yeah, that'll be frustrating for Delange. Oh, Burmeister, big wobble again. I think he's really taken the life out of those soft tyres. Burmeister was pretty much sideways there. He'll want to try and get back ahead of Burmeister if he can, because obviously Burmeister's going to have to pit, and so is Delange. So that's potentially for track position between them two when they do come into the pit. So just further ahead, it's now 1.4 seconds between Speed Queen and Ghost, but crucially, can Speed Queen stay out on those medium tyres? We definitely think Ghost can, but can Speed Queen?
Well, I'll be sure Ghost can, because I mean, by the looks of it, Delange on his 16-lap-old hards, and that constitutes 3 laps of safety car as well. So he's only really done 13 racing laps. Those tyres seem dead already, and so does this mean everyone is anchoring almost to a two-stop? Which, if they are, Delange has managed to do, say, 16 laps on those hard tyres. Those mediums might just about take him to the end, so these guys might end up with the advantage if everyone starts two-stopping.
That is an interesting point. I hope we get a two-stop. That will really spice things up. Burmeister's still out on soft tyres. Stefan now through Delange and Smoke pitted is up into P8. So if everybody finishes the race now, they're going to get a point. Just can they finish the race? It's easier said, isn't it? And we've got Reshka now into in P5, promoted to P5. He's dragging along Luke Bailey. Luke Bailey almost looked out of this race, didn't he, at one point? He's in P6 now, and Reshka will be looking to try and get a move done on ARL, who's just started to fall off the back of Burmeister a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at the comments as well, Tina saying that they didn't fix his front wing in the pits, possibly thinking it will cost too much with the budget cap for down at Williams. A shame for Tinas, because he was driving well at that point. I mean, I think he knew he wasn't going to get a ridiculous result here, but he was going well enough potentially for some points at the time. But back with the action, and Smoke is giving Delange a little bit of something to think about.
Yeah, I think Delange will be hoping to just focus on catching Stefan in 8th, but it looks like he's going to have to keep an eye on that green Aston Martin behind the Smoke. The F2 guy is making hard work for these F1 guys. He's driving well so far, yet he had that slight mistake that allowed Ghost and Burmeister through early, but ignoring that, he's done decent race so far, and if he can keep with Delange now and they look to go further into this race, Smoke could score decent points tonight.
It's a big thing here for Delange as well, is that in reality Smoke has nothing to lose here. He's not within a real chance of the championship fight. Obviously he's not scoring any team points, so he's not even though he's in the Aston Martin, he's not actually scoring points for the Aston Martin team. You know, he has nothing to lose on his side. Delange does. So it's a really interesting concept of how Delange works this, whether if Smoke does start attacking him, does he fight too much and risk even though he's only got 2 points right now, does he risk those 2 points trying to fight him off whilst trying to catch Stefan, which he isn't. But Michael Lutker probably is also close to Luke Bailey, but Speed Queen not really pulling a gap at the front either.
No, and Burmeister just is losing time hand over fist really now to those guys at the front. Those soft tyres are probably crying their eyes out right now. He's done 7 laps on them. He'd surely be coming into the pits sooner rather than later. And ARL now is starting to actually gain on Burmeister. So I think surely Burmeister will be into the pits this lap or at least the next lap. And Burmeister does come into the pits now. So those soft tyres have given up, and it'll be interesting to see where does this build to Burmeister. I'm thinking it's going to be near De Lange. Maybe De Lange might even get out in front of him.
Interesting to see what tyres he puts on as well, and what tyres he's actually got left to run Burmeister, because he's used both his mediums and mediums and hards. Sorry, he goes back onto his hards because they're only 2 laps old, so that's not a bad thing. But Stefan goes past. Michael Lutker is also in the pits. He goes onto soft tyres. Michael Lutker will get overtaken by Delange and Smoke. Burmeister, I'm going to watch this because this could be quite close. He comes out just ahead of Delange, but he's on cold tyres, and there is the proof.
Burmeister's not giving up though, but I don't think he's really got much to say about it, has he? And can Smoke take advantage of Burmeister being on those hard tyres? Smoke on the medium tyre. Burmeister weaving down the track, trying to get all the temperature he can into those hard tyres, and that worked out nicely for De Lange. And now can De Lange pull away from Burmeister and let Burmeister worry about Smoke, so he doesn't have to think about it. Burmeister's already dropped a second to De Lange in 7th place. The Smoke really piling the pressure on the Haas driver.
Yeah, Burmeister has to be a little bit careful doing that, because if he's not careful, he runs wide almost into the wall. He does have to be careful doing that though, because Smoke wasn't that far behind him, and that weaving, if you're in close proximity, is a little bit frowned upon. So he'll probably get away with it because Smoke probably won't mind too much because he wasn't looking for a move, but he just has to be a little bit careful when doing that, Burmeister. Yeah,
I agree. You don't want to misjudge where a competitor is and weave into the side of him and take him out of this race. So, yeah, I think he got away with it because Smoke just wasn't quite close enough. But look at the gap between them now. I think if Burmeister was to do it again, then there will be some trouble for him. But yeah, what are we thinking? Because, as you say, going back to the front, there's no difference really in the last few laps between Ghost and Speaker, and they've been trading blow for blow, and they're still around 1.7, 1.8 seconds. ARL in 3rd place having a decent race, but he's getting chased down by Reschke. Reschke now 1.1 seconds behind the AlphaTauri driver. So the Alpine driver is looking to potentially make it a double podium for the team, and that'll be huge for the constructors, especially with Alfa Romeo with a man down.
Yeah, obviously both Alpines outscoring the single Alfa Romeo, so it's almost like you allow Reschke is covering Delange, and everything Ghost gets is a bonus right now for Alpine. But it very much depends on how these tyres last, because as we know, obviously, so it was 16 lap old, 17 lap old tyres with the 3 lap safety car that Delange and the likes of Stefan came into the pits. So is there potential here that if Speed Queen does come in for another pit stop, will she be so much quicker on a set of fresher tyres that she'll be able to catch back up? I mean, if she's thinking that way, she's going to have to make a pit stop soon to be able to make use of the tyres.
She really is. And what have we got? 9 laps left of this race. Can she put an extra 9 laps on 12 lap medium tyres? That is the question. Those tyres, they'll not be nice to drive if she does do that at the end of this race. But Reschke, he's lost some time, unfortunately. I was hoping we were going to get to see a battle for 3rd place, but he must have lost some time in the 2nd and 3rd sector on the last lap. It's dropped to 1.5 seconds, 1.7 seconds now. So Reschke, as we see a fastest lap for Michael on the soft tyre in 10th place. Reschke, I don't know, maybe playing the safe game here. He knows, as you say, he's ahead of Delange, so bring it home in P4. Luke Bailey's not close enough to challenge him, so bring it home in P4. Make sure you don't put it into that wall. and you're going to score good points for the team.
Yeah, it could also be a bit of a tyre game as well, because obviously if we are expecting these hards to really wear out come the end, I mean, if Resh can have the even 3% better tyres in the end, that's a massive advantage here. Interestingly for Michael Lutka, if that fastest lap stands, he will actually gain the fastest lap points to go on top of that, because he will finish in the top 10, should he finish.
Yeah, that is a good point actually. Yeah, everybody scoring points, so Michael Lutke will gain the extra point for P10. Reshka, as I just said, he's just fallen off the back of IRL. He's now crawled it all back, so he's found 6/10 now on this lap. So whatever little niggly issues Reshka might have had on that previous lap, he's got back on top of it. He's got just fractionally outside of DRS. Can he get within DRS to get it down that first section? No, he's not going to be able to. 1.1 seconds, but he's gaining on IRL. Luke Bailey having a bit of a race on his own right now in P5, isn't he? 3 seconds off of P4, 12 seconds with Stefan behind. So Luke Bailey just needs to keep his concentration here and ring round at the back at one point. It looks like he could be on for really good points.
Yeah, Stefan actually is taking time out of Luke Bailey. I mean, down to 11.8, that would have been what, about 25 to 30 seconds when Stefan came in the pits 7 laps ago. So it'll be interesting to see how those mediums are holding up for Stefan, and whether he can actually take that time out of Luke Bailey. I don't think he will do, but it'll be an interesting one to watch. And Reshka here, I'm just riding on board with him, just trying to nail the apexes, get the traction out of every corner, and yeah, he's just gradually nipping away from ARL here. If he can pick up some DRS, although he does run a little bit deep into 14, if he can just pick up a bit of DRS here, he'll start really laying into the time gap that he's got here.
I think Speed Queen's medium tyres are on their last legs. Ghost has got it to us within a second, almost within DRS of Speed Queen now. Ghost has took pretty much half a second off Speed Queen on that last. Speed Queen, I think, is hanging on now. And if Ghost gets within DRS, yeah, Ghost does look like he's got the pace now at this stage of the race. So it's hanging on for Speed Queen. Can she hang on, or does she pit? That is the question, because right now she does not look comfortable.
No, she's just a second, so still outside the DRS range. But as we know around here, it's not easy to overtake. So if Speed Queen can position her car well and utilise her ERS in the correct manner, obviously Ghost we know is very good with his ERS management. We also know Speed Queen with her tyre management and her ERS management tends to be okay. Her tyre management is probably one of the best on the grid. That's for certain. But if she can make sure she's got the ERS to defend and use it in the correct places, this still could be quite hard for Ghost.
It could, and she's done well here. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought Ghost would have really reeled her in, but she's managed to keep it just outside of DRS detection, 1.1, 1.05. So she's managing to keep Ghost just outside that DRS, even getting frustrated, I imagine. He'll want to try and get within that DRS to try and reel her in, but just can't quite get under that second mark. It's just flipped up to 1.1, 1.2, so Ghost is there or thereabouts. It just needs that fraction bit more. Speed Queen doing an excellent job to make sure he doesn't get that DRS, and right now it doesn't look like he's going to get DRS into the first sector either, because it's 1.1 seconds now. So yeah, fantastic job so far from Speed Queen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's still getting good traction with those medium tyres that are 15 laps on. You can tell coming out of turn 3 there, the gap actually went up by about a tenth. So the traction's still just about there. Just depends how much longer it will be staying there. Obviously, slightly bigger gaps. This is actually the closest gap we have on the circuit right now, is for the lead. And Ghost maybe potentially just biding his time a little bit here. Trying to baby his tyres a little bit for the end and have the grip over Speed Queen, but he is it's a really weird one. He is slowly running out of time, shall we say.
He is, yeah. We're on lap 25 now, and he's going to want to get win DRS sooner rather than later. I'm just going back to what you were saying about Stefan catching Luke Bailey. He really is. Look at the gap now, 7.6 seconds to Luke Bailey. He's taking chunks of time out of Luke Bailey. Can Stefan keep doing that and catch Luke Bailey? But I think maybe he's just going to run out of laps here, because even if he does manage to get within a second of Luke Bailey, he's then got to somehow get past him as well. But Stefan, solid drive from him after what was a tough qualifying.
Yeah, and a bit of a tough break really on the safety car. I mean, for all hard runners, it was a hard safety car to contend with, being that early. And now Ghost in DRS range, DRS open. This you're starting to sense the reach of Ghost is now imminently getting there with Speed Queen, and he's going to start reeling her in now with that DRS activations.
Yeah, unfortunately, Speed Queen. I think if you can defend this, it'll be one hell of a job. But I think once Ghost starts to get closer and closer, and those medium tyres are going to get worse and worse from here on in 16 lap old medium tyres. We saw, as you say, Delango was struggling on 16 lap hard tyres earlier, so I can't even begin to imagine what the medium tyres are like. But if she could keep it within 8/10, even if Ghost has DRS, then he's not going to overtake her, is he? So it's good management from Speed Queen. She doesn't need to pay, as you see that, she's going back above a second, so fantastic job here.
Yeah, I mean, we do say Speed Queen, one of the best in the tyre management business. I think this is very evident here. 16 laps on medium tyres. I see 3 of those behind the safety car, so technically only 13 racing laps. But still very, very well managed so far. And as they cross the line, they'll have just 5 laps remaining. But Ghost now under 7/10. You have to feel he's gaining about 1/10 of a second a lap, and it's only going to get more as the tyres wear.
Yeah, and she can't really pit now either, can she, Speed Queen? So she's just got to try and see this out now and try and keep Ghost behind. I just hope that these tyres don't go pop at some point, because she's going to defend hard here. And what can Ghost do? I don't think he's going to be able to overtake her here, 8/10 of a second. He's going to obviously reel her in with DRS. He's not using any ERS, he's managing that, so he gets it down to around 6-7 of a second. So yeah, Ghost still managing it, but yeah, I worry for Speed Queen here, because those medium tyres, I can imagine they're going to go off the cliff quite quickly towards the end of this race, I think.
Yeah, and obviously Ghost, we've got almost like the master of tyre management versus the master of ERS management. And it's a very, that's a lot of time gained on Ghost on the brakes, but he'll probably lose a chunk of that on the way out as Speed Queen gets the better angle of exit. And interestingly, Burmeister now under a second against Delange, so we now have a couple of battles on circuit.
I literally just flicked to that myself. Delange managed to build a bit of a gap on those medium tyres, but I think he's struggling on those medium tyres, which, if he is struggling on those medium tyres, on 9 lap old medium tyres, it just shows you what a mega job Speed Queen's doing on 17 lap medium tyres. So yeah, Delange just trying to hang on now. He's not going to catch Stefan in 6th place. He just wants to try and hold on to 7th place. Stefan, meanwhile, 3.5 seconds behind Luke Bailey. He's drove really well. But back to the front, on lap 28, it's 8/10 of a second again. So Ghost not going to be close enough, I don't think, this lap either, to get a move done.
I mean, the other thing here for Ghost is, does he really need to make this move? And the answer is no. He doesn't. I mean, don't get me wrong, every driver will want to win the race. However, even at this early stage, Ghost's main rival, Livingwall, he's out of the race. He's taking 12 points right now out of his main championship rival. There is no... And he's taking points out of everyone else, like Burmeister, Stefan, Delange. He's taking points out of everyone right now. So it's even though it's early, you're still thinking of that championship picture, because if you risk making a move on Speed Queen and you get it wrong, or Speed Queen maybe spins it because of the pressure you're piling on, and you drive into her and get some damage, that's a risk factor you have to take, and it is an extra 3 points, which is quite a lot in terms of this point scoring system. However, is it really worth it in Ghost shoes right now?
Well, yeah, that is exactly right. Speed Queen not in this championship fight at the moment. So effectively, Ghost this is going to be a win for him if he does stay in second place. As you say, he's going to be scoring points over his rivals this evening. You're probably right there. He's playing it safe here. If Speed Queen tires completely go, then he'll obviously go for it. But right now, he just looks comfortable. But this is interesting now. Look, he's got it down to 0.4 of a second here, this is the closest he's been in this battle. So there's a bit of a snap there from Ghost. He's going to lose time. He's lost about 1.5 there, but he's still much closer than he has been. Is there an opportunity here for Ghost? I still think he might be a bit too far behind Speed Queen to get a move done.
Yeah, I think he's going to get close, but not close enough. Meanwhile, I'm going to go and have a look at Burmeister and Delange. 0.8 the gap there. It was down to half a second going into Sector 3. Through the first few corners, we'll keep an eye on the gap between Speed Queen and Ghost at 0.4. I don't think they're going to get a move until after the Anderson Bridge. Meanwhile, into the first DRS zone goes the Alfa Romeo and the Haas. Burmeister 0.7 behind. I think that's slightly too far behind. It will be.
Ghost is right onto the back of Speed Queen now, but he's not going to be able to get any move done either. So what does he do here? Does he wait for the next lap? He's pretty much neck and neck with Speed Queen now. Speed Queen, I think her tyres are gone personally now. She's just hanging on and seeing what she can do.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Stefan Ranz now 1.3 seconds, 1.1 seconds behind Luke Bailey. So we're going to have another battle on our hands. He has been ripping time out of that Mercedes. And the interesting part here, Sab, is that Luke Bailey's only 2 seconds behind Reshka. So Stefan here, could he potentially take 4th place?
That would be one hell of an achievement. Stefan, what was he, 13 seconds behind Luke Bailey at one point? That's been one hell of a drive from him. And here comes Ghost then. So Ghost is much closer than he was last lap, 0.4. With DRS activated, I think he's going to have a great opportunity here. 0.3 of a second, DRS activated. The light on the back of Speed Queen's flashing. She's running out of ERS. Here comes Ghost round the outside. I don't think Speed Queen's going to have anything to say. Oh, she keeps it on the inside. Ghost has to get out of it. And Speed Queen, with all the fingernails now, is hanging on for dear life here. But I just think this is going to be inevitable here. Ghost clearly has better traction now than Speed Queen.
Meanwhile, Stefan, we were talking about him just a lap ago, and he is making the move on Luke Bailey for 5th place. His next target just 2.3 seconds up the road for Reshka. So good recovery drive this from the Haas driver. Burmeister still behind the lounge on the map. Meanwhile, Ghost, once again, will not be able to get Speed Queen into turn 14. He's going to have to wait throughout this whole 3rd sector again.
He is, and it's going to go down to the last lap, isn't it? Oh no! Oh! I thought Ghost had lost it then. That's what you was talking about, wasn't it?
So are we now seeing that those hards are now starting to fall off the cliff as well? Because that was a big moment on the hard tyres, and that's something you would probably expect Speed Queen's tyres to be doing as we head on to the final lap of the race. Lap 31 of 31. It's been a long, long race. We just got 1 minute and 45-ish to go. 0.3 of a second, Sab, into the DRS zone. Surely, if he's got the ERS saved up, surely Ghost has got this into turn 7.
Oh, the squeeze there. Speed Queen doesn't have anything though. She tried her hardest, but she's coming back. She's going to run out of room here. How has she got that move done? Wow.
What a move, but a switch back from Ghost towards the sling. Is he realistically there to make a move? They're going to go side by side through the sling. Still side by side into 11. Oh, and Speed Queen's almost gone round.
Oh, no. Ah. I think that was going to happen. Unfortunately, neither of them wanted to give up there, did they? And with the track getting narrower and narrower, unfortunately, it was going to happen. She's got no front wing now. She's going to have to try and get to the end, but that'll be Ghost victorious. And look at ARL now. ARL is going to steal second place off of here. If she could barely get round the corner with no front wing. Can ARL get past her though? Because there's not many opportunities to overtake round this last part of this race.
No, and another thing as well, Sab, I've noticed Reshka went off at turn 8 and has no front wing as well. So Delange is going to get up into 6th place, I think, here. Potentially. As Ghost, the fireworks go. Ghost wins at Singapore. Speed Queen. Can she hold on? This would be an absolute great bit of driving. Oh, Arrow goes for the lunge. Can't quite get it to go. And it is Speed Queen who takes 2nd place from ARL. 4th place, and it is probably driver of the day for Stefan Rands. That is a great result for him. Luke Bailey comes home with a top 5. A good result for him. Meanwhile, I think Smoke and Reshka are going side by side. Delange will take 6th with Burmeister 7th. And it is Smoke who takes 8th from Reshka in 9th. Michael Lutka, who's made those softs, I say last 12 laps. He's driven on them for 13 laps in the Williams. He'll come home for 10th and fastest lap of the Grand Prix.
That's a good going on those soft tyres. But what a dramatic end. I don't know how Speed Queen held on to 2nd place with no front wing, but it's just a shame to see how that ended. Neither of them wanted to give up position. Ghost, I think, was really lucky that he didn't also get collected into the wall as well. But huge congratulations to the driver of the day by the game, Stefan. And Stefan, what a recovery drive that was from him.
Yeah, phenomenal drive from Stefan, especially from his grid position and the fact that he had to make a pit stop under the green flag conditions as well. To come back and get 4th place is an amazing result, but Ghost will provisionally win the Singapore Grand Prix. In the Alpine, it's his 5th win of the season, 6 rounds gone. Speed Queen, I believe, her first podium of the season. And ARL, I think, possibly his first podium of the season as well, if I'm correct in my understanding.
Well, if it is, it's a great job. I think he'd be quite frustrated not to have got past Speed Queen at the end there, but if it's his first podium, then huge congratulations. That was chaotic at the end, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So your provisional results from the Singapore Grand Prix. Ghost takes the victory from Speed Queen after an immense battle. ARL will take 3rd with Stefan in 4th. Luke Bailey will be 5th. Delange in 6th. Burmeister 7th. Smoke in 8th. Reshka 9th. Michael Lutka, the last finisher, in 10th with the fastest lap, which is a good result for him. Tinas and Livingwall both retiring from the race.
I feel for Reshka, you know, he drove a great race up until the very end where he lost his front wing, tried to hang on similar to what Speed Queen did, and ultimately lost several positions, but he did finish in the points. But I think he'll be quite frustrated that there was opportunity to score real big points for Alpine. But overall, Alpine did score great points this evening, especially over their rivals, with De Lange struggling down there towards the bottom end of the top 10. But that was a fantastic race. Is there any stopping Ghost at the moment? He's pulled another win out of the bag.
It's definitely looking tough, and it's got even harder with Livingwall's retirement. So can you just do me a favour, in the party, can you just see if Speed Queen is actually in this party chat, just in case she can make the interviews. Yes. But meanwhile, we have Ghost and ARL. Good evening, guys. How are you both?
Good evening. I am stressed.
So the same thing here.
Brilliant. We'll just wait for Sab to see if Speed Queen is
Not in here. I'll see if I can get her in.
Perfect. I think you should be able to do it via the recently played with tab.
Okay. So if you want to get on and start talking to these guys, I'll try and get Speed Queen in.
So I think we'll start with ARL. We'll do it slightly differently for a change. We'll go with ARL. Your first podium of the season. Congratulations, but could have possibly been a second due to the misfortune of Speed Queen. I mean, how frustrating was that at the end? Because Sector 3, almost no overtaking available.
Yeah, no, P3, it's a good result, first podium. I said a couple of weeks back that I'm just looking to try and get back into things, of course, changement of ABS off and all that, but yeah, I'll definitely take a P3. But yeah, no, it was very close between Speed Queen, because the thing is, I knew she had damage, but the thing is, as well, I don't know, she's very unpredictable because she does have that damage along, so I don't know where her breaking point is. So it was a bit of a high risk, high reward scenario, but I decided to, you know what, if it wasn't going to work, just let it go. You know, P3 will take that, and yeah.
Now, I heard from our pit lane reporters that, and from your Alpha Tauri team, that you're having some brake problems. Can you elaborate on those?
Yeah, no, midway through for the first stint on around lap 5, my brake completely lost, you know, as soon as you put your foot down on the pedal, it really lost pressure, and I actually dropped back 2-3 seconds, and I was really under pressure because I had cars, of course, behind me, and I had to try and get used to it. So it felt like it was either I wasn't braking enough or it was pushing too much and then locking up. So it was a bit stressful. I had to try and adjust it. I managed to midway through the race, and then once I got the rhythm of things, then I could just control it there. But it was very stressful under the safety car restart, because of course there's lots of cars around you and you don't know when exactly to brake. So it was a bit of a challenging moment, but managed to get it to the end.
Sab, any thoughts?
I was just going to say, basically, it's a strong result for yourself and Alpha Tauri. That'll jump you ahead of the Ferrari team now. Are you looking at potentially trying to get in the mix with Alfa Romeo and Alpine at the top, or are you just basically taking race by race?
It's kind of a bit of both, really. You know, a few weeks back I wasn't challenging against the Alfa Romeo duo because I know they're very strong, and obviously Ghost is, you know, he's been dominating the season, so I knew that it would definitely be a challenge. But the more I go into this season, the more results I pick up, and it seems to help. So I think at this point in time, definitely game on. I mean, I'm always going to fight to the end, and you know, there's still quite a few rounds to go, so anything can happen.
No, absolutely. Congratulations, ARL, on your podium. So your first one this season. So almost
Thank
like
you
your
very
season
much,
starts here.
congrats to podium. Yeah.
Ghosts. Once again, we're here talking to you. Congratulations on yet another victory. Your fifth one of six races this season. I mean, you're gonna make us run out of questions.
I mean, I think there's plenty of questions about that race. Well, the restart didn't quite go to plan. I don't know if you saw in the Discord, I've been having minor brake pedal issues for a while now. It just like sort of flickers where on the exit of the corner it sort of just flickers at sort of 0 to 5% for a little bit until I slightly depress it with my foot, and then it comes back to 0 again. So it's been something I've been seeing for a little while, but it just loses me a few tenths here and there, and I sort of get on with it. That time it stuck on about half, and there was nothing I could do. I didn't know what was going on until about, like, I was sort of, why am I slow? Why am I slow? And then I looked at my brakes, and oh my god. And then it did it again out of turn 3, or 4, whichever one that is. So I was I was just trying my best to get it back up to speed and not crash into anyone because everyone was sailing past me. And when I got it back up to speed, it still had a few minor twitches for the rest of the race, but other than that, it didn't do anything like that again. But that's the first time it's ever done something like that, so we'll have to look at it. But I thought, well, if Speed Queen doesn't pull away too much, I can still maybe win. And I just about managed to catch her at the end. I had the DRS, and then that battle on the last lap. Woo!
I mean, we obviously definitely got to talk about that battle with Speed Queen. I mean, round the streets of Singapore, I mean, it's tight at the best of times, but I think you must have gone through about 5 corners side by side, possibly slightly more. Obviously, it was an unfortunate end to the battle. I mean, me and Sab were hoping to see you go side by side over the Anderson Bridge and beyond. But just talk us through that battle, because that was... I mean, you've had battles with Stefan this season which have been tough, but I would imagine that is probably the toughest one you've had so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. The battles I've had before have been more sort of intense because it's always just I've got to make no mistakes because otherwise he's right behind me and he'll go straight through. And occasionally as well having to overtake after being undercut or overcut, whichever way round it's been. And then for Austria as well, that was a couple of battles in there, but it's mainly just been intense. I haven't had a proper sort of all hands on deck side by side battle all through a few corners yet this season, and I was hoping for one, and that certainly delivered. It, as you said, it didn't end in the way I hoped it would. I hoped we would be battling all the way to the line, but from my perspective, I don't think there was anything I could do. Went into me, but from my perspective, I left as much as I could. So yeah, I don't know. I'll look back at it and see. But if it was my fault, I'll take responsibility. But I'm not. At the moment, I don't think it was. But I'll look back at it.
Sab?
Well, last week I asked you about this race, and you said you wasn't as confident as you have been previously. Well, you've just come in and shown us that you've managed to win this, albeit through a very tough battle at the end. So I want to ask you about next week. We're going to Japan next week. That is completely different, again, what we've just done tonight. How are your confidence going into Japan, and who are you expecting to battle next week? And we're going to have to probably sit there and think of even more questions for you and probably see you on the podium again.
Well, I mean, the thing is with today, I was feeling exactly the same as I was feeling last week when I was talking to you, until about 10 minutes before the lobby opened, because I was just doing some time trial and I was still doing badly, and I made a couple of small tweaks to my setup, and then suddenly I was doing some really good laps and I regained all my confidence back, and then I thought, okay, I can win this race. So yeah, it was tough until then. It was it was pretty tight. I wasn't feeling all too confident until then, but the pace was really good. But Japan, I mean, it depends. I don't really know what the pace is like for everyone else around there. I've been feeling pretty comfortable around Japan, I would say, in the races I've done there on this game so far. But I mean, it can be a fairly unpredictable track a lot of the time. So you never know what could happen. I mean, obviously I'm gonna try and extend the streak. I feel bad. I don't want to make it boring, but
well, the way I see it is they've got to step up and try and beat you. You are you've got a big target on your back right now, and so far you've done superbly. So congratulations again tonight. You've drove exceptional again, albeit just don't make it too intense next week with those sort of battles on that last lap.
Yeah, I'll have a look at my brake pedal, and hopefully that doesn't happen again.
I mean, obviously, normally you round off with a final question with you, Ghost, because you tend to win. At the moment, obviously, Sab's done what I would normally do at the end, which is fair enough, that's his question. So I just want to get one final viewpoint between yourself and Speed Queen on tyre wear, because those medium tyres Speed Queen had on, she made last like they were the ultra hards from like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I'll let ARL go about that one. I've talked too much.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised at that as well. But I mean, I of course race with Speed Queen quite a bit in the realistic performance as well, and I know she's very good with tyre management. Often for sprint races, she decides to go on the soft when usually it should be the medium. So I know she's definitely got that experience of keeping the tyres alive. So she definitely did that tonight. But yeah, a little bit too close to call for that final lap between you, Ghost.
Pretty well. Congratulations to the pair of you, Ghost, on your victory, Arrow on your third place and first podium this season. We look forward to seeing you guys at Japan next week as we head towards near the halfway point in this championship, Sab. Obviously next week, the last week before break week, effectively, for most of the leagues, and it's shaping up like a lot of people need to team up to go to beat Ghost here.
Yeah, that is true. He's making it very difficult for everyone at the moment, but they've got to step up, haven't they? This is the game, isn't it? He worries about making it boring, but I think these guys have just got to find that bit extra and see if they can dislodge him from the top. But at the moment, the way I'm looking at it, it's looking quite difficult, and I don't want to put the jinx on him, and he'll probably hate me for saying this, but he's pretty odds-on favourite right now, I'd say, to go all the way.
Absolutely. Well, in light of that, that is the end of tonight's racing action here in the PlayStation F1 League. There is more racing to come on the Invictus Racing League channel, so if you did enjoy what you watched tonight, there is more to come, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and like the video for tonight. But obviously tomorrow, Sab, you're commentating in the F2 category, where you'll see the likes of Michael Lutka, Smoke and Tinus battle it out with the others. Again, obviously all of it around Singapore. On Wednesday, Malc and Max will take you through the F3 action, whilst on Thursday, Malc and Tim are with you for the Realistic Performance League. But from ourselves here, this has been the Invictus Racing League PlayStation F1 Tier 1 in partnership with GridFinder.com and Grid Rival. And from myself and Sab, thank you for joining me in the commentary box as usual. Cover for Webbo, who I believe should be back next week, which will be good to have him back in the comms box. But Sab, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always. And from myself, thank you all for watching tonight. We'll see you in Japan in a week's time.